Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the First Step Podcast. My name is Kevin. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are on the eve of March Madness. It's Tuesday, March 18th. So currently there's games going on right now. We're getting prepped. We're starting to fill out our brackets. Make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe. We're going to go through each different region. I've got with me today the one, the only, Chucky Hoops. He's going to be joining me as soon as we get back. We're going to go through all of our picks, go through all the upsets, go through all of our favorites. Get excited. I'm super pumped. Let's go. Let's start this.
This is First Step.
All right, my man. How's it going, Chucky Hoops? Thank you for joining us. How we doing?
Oh, I can't wait. It's tournament week. This is what we wait for all year, Kev. Are you ready?
This is it, baby.
I got the SEC champs right here. Got the SEC champs right here, the 1 seed ready to make a run. And I got GW. Shout out to them getting the crown invite. 20-win season. How about the dribbling Georges? Look at that. Look at that GW.
Those dribbling Georges, I've lost so much money with them this year. Every time we think they're going to win it this time.
We don't talk about that.
I talk about it. I talk about it because it breaks my heart. But listen, I'm super pumped for this tournament. I don't know about you, but I feel like the way this tournament has been seeded and the way the committee has seeded these teams, this is looking out to be one of the really good tournament. A lot of fun, a lot of big games. First round, we're jumping into this with some big old games coming in, and even next round it's gonna look amazing. I think they're doing a great job. I'm super pumped. How are you feeling? Just like straight up bracket appreciation.
I think definitely the committee effed up in a couple spots, but because of those F-ups, it's caused some like great matchups round one and some like VCU as an 11, Gonzaga as an 8, Louisville as an 8. Those are probably unjust. I think West Virginia got absolutely screwed not being in the tournament. Yeah. But ultimately, it's led to UNC is probably straight up a better team. We're seeing that right now. They're up 24 at the half. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they can hit that over because it doesn't seem like San Diego State wants to help. But I think they're a better team, and ultimately it's going to make for a better tournament. Because like you said, that BYU-VCU matchup, those are two teams I can see making runs all the way to the Elite Eight, even Final Four, and they play game one. Louisville is an 8 seed. All of a sudden, they're going to get a chance probably to play Auburn in Lexington and a quasi-home game in that round too. So to me, it's going to make a fun bracket. We had Sundays for griping about the misseeding and any committee issues. Now we got that bracket. Let's just go through it.
Let's go through it. I say we're going to start breaking up the regions, and I'm going to break this up on YouTube so you can get the different regions and you can do little pieces. But go through, if you guys are watching, make sure you listen to the whole thing. We're going to go through this. If you're filling out your bracket, you're going to get this on Wednesday. It's going to come out a little bit early, so you could go ahead, make sure you get your brackets in before Thursday.
Yeah, so 12:15 on CBS, we got Creighton, Louisville. So we'll see that.
There you go.
Yeah, you're going to want a little Louisville first half bet there. That's what I'll be on. I think Louisville's going to come out hot, so I'm ready to go for that one.
That's going to be super fun.
And then it's 5 point Purdue, and we're off. So it's always like that, waiting for that first game, then 30 minutes later, that second game, and all of a sudden, right when that third game tips, you got the first game ending, and that's when the chaos really starts. Around 1:30, 2 o'clock is when you really start to see everything go crazy.
So before we go into the region, I do want to bring up something personal. How miserable are you for this wedding right now? I know we said 12:15. Are you going to be able to watch the first tip-off?
I doubt it. I don't know if I'm going to have to use a VPN. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. It's one of those where I've got to figure it out by Friday at 6:50, 5:50 Cancun time, and make sure that I can watch Florida, Norfolk State. Because that's what matters.
All right. Okay. Never mind. Let's forget about your personal stuff. Let's get into this. Let's start with the South here. I know you probably want to start with Florida and in the East and stuff, but no. Let's go. They're in the West. Sorry. Let's start with the South. Let's talk number 1 seed, Auburn. Obviously, have been great all season. Been stepping back a little bit from, I guess, a little bit since February, a little bit before that. Kind of lost a step, dealing with some injuries, dealing with some just bad plays. How do you feel about this region in its whole as a region? Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is by far the weakest region, especially in those like top 4 seeds where we're usually trying to identify a region winner. I think the winner of that really is Auburn and Michigan State. I think in my estimation, those are probably the weakest 1 and 2s or just about right now with how they're playing. But they looked out. Iowa State has one of their best players, Keshawn Gilbert, hurt, who I think is a star. as a 3 seed. I think 4 seed Texas A&M has been really struggling over the last 2 months and just can't score the basketball. And then 5 seed Michigan has looked strong, had a great, obviously won the Big Ten tournament, looked strong, but they got an incredibly tough matchup with UC San Diego to start. So I think if it was seeded just about with any other 3 or 4 seeds, I'd probably be picking them to make the Final Four in this region. But instead, I think Auburn and Michigan State lucked out. I personally have Michigan State heading out of this region. I love their depth. I love how tough they play. I think Tom Izzo's done an incredible job coaching. But I think when you credit someone for doing a great job coaching, you're also dissing that talent a little bit. And I do think
Mhm.
that Michigan State's not the typical team you would see as with national title level talent. I think they do it a lot on the offensive boards, in gang rebounding, in gang defending, which is impressive, but doesn't they don't have that typical 2 seed star power, I think.
Is it crazy to say in tournament play, I think coaching here matters more than pretty much at any other point during the season, right? Like most of these teams here have great players, have NBA quality players, but I think in the tournament especially, this is a long tournament, lots of games, brutal on the players. I think we're coaching here is just like hyper important. I mean, it's obviously important in college basketball. I'm not saying it's not always important, but I feel especially during the tournament, having great coach, having an experienced coach, somebody to get you through the push, through the trenches of the tournament. Everyone's hyped up. Emotions are high. You need your players calm and in the zone. You do also want to keep those hot players hot, right?
Yeah.
Auburn has Broom. This is the probably the best player in the tournament. Arguably, you have Cooper Flag from Duke as well. But this guy is incredibly good. It's hard to go against Broom with that Auburn team and going against them. You say they're going to take down Michigan State. Michigan State could take them down. I see that. I could see that. But man, Auburn, dude, Auburn's nasty with Broom there. It's gonna be hard to go against them. But I see it. I like it too. I think on upsets here, you have that UC San Diego game versus Michigan. I think Michigan's one of those teams could absolutely make a run for it. I'm not saying they can't. They're a -3 favorite here. UC San Diego's got great 3-point shooting. We talk a lot. We make fun of people that say, "Oh, 3-point shooting, is that really a game strategy in tournament?" I think UC San Diego's 3-point shooting is so good that I really do think they could put up numbers against Michigan. I would love that +3 money line for the value here. And then also that Texas A&M Yale game is also a good upset alert, right? Yale's crazy deadly behind the 3-point as well. I think Texas A&M should win, but I think if Yale gets early, a little hot, that could be a nice little bracket buster there for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you when you mentioned coaching before, I love Yale's coach, James Jones. We saw them last year beat Auburn. Every single year under James Jones over the last 10 years, he's been there for I think 20 years. They've been just so good, so competitive, and a really underrated conference of the Ivy,
Mm-hmm.
especially at the top. And every time they make the tournament, they either win or give hell to that opponent. I've got Yale beating Texas A&M in my bracket. I think that's a reasonable play. Another kind of crazy one, if you want to, I don't know much about Lipscomb to be honest. I watch a lot of college basketball, haven't made my way to watch some Lipscomb, but I do think as a fade to some a team that's fading even at full health in Iowa State and then down one of their best players, I think this is a region where I think a lot of upsets we could see.
Yeah. This coming at Iowa State for sure. Also, we got the Lobos down in New Mexico. I love the Lobos. I love the name. I love the vibe that they have. I think the Patino storyline could be great for college basketball. Can you imagine like a Patino action if St. John's goes on a run and New Mexico goes on a run and we get a
And
Patino
I don't think
action?
that's crazy. New Mexico, you mentioned Janai Broom. There's another All-American in that bracket,
Yeah.
and that's Donovan Dent from New Mexico. So I think, like, absolutely, anytime. I don't think New Mexico has the overall team really to make the run, but if they were going to do it, it would be in a bracket like this. And I don't think it's crazy to see them taking down Michigan State or anything like that. But Donovan Dent really is. We're talking about like one of the 10 best players in the country.
Mhm.
And we see guards all the time just go off in March. I wouldn't be shocked if Donovan Dent's a guy that becomes a household name in the next 2 weeks.
I love that. I love that. All right. So your favorite bet in this region, what do you got?
Ooh.
Your favorite one. If you had to pick one game, one line, what are you doing?
I'm gonna go with Louisville first half. I think Louisville's gonna come out. I think they
Louisville
have a
first
chip on their
half.
shoulder.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I think they got a chip on their shoulder. I think they're gonna come out flying. It's the first game of the tournament. We're gonna know right away whether we're gonna start hot or not. We're gonna know in that first half an hour
Yeah.
if we're gonna start hot or not. And this is a team that I think felt underseeded. I think they've played really well lately. I think if they were playing an SEC team or a Big Ten team, I would worry about like them not being up to that competition. But the Big Ten and the ACC to me are very similar, with just both of them feasting on a lot of not great teams. And I don't know if Louisville's going to sustain it because Creighton's another really well coached team with Greg McDermott, but I think Louisville's going to start hot.
I like it. I think I like Yale at, you could get it somewhere at +8.5, +7.5. I really like that.
That's a good one.
I really like that bet for this region specifically. I like that bet a lot. If you're gonna do something else, if you want to play an upset card, you could do UC San Diego versus Michigan. But I think I'm gonna stick with the Yale at +8.5. All right, let's go down. Let's go down. Let's hit it already. Let's go to the West, baby. Let's talk about
Go to the
let's talk
West.
about them boys in blue. Let's talk about the Florida Gators. They're your number 1 seed. I'm just gonna let you rant because this is your team. Go for it.
Man, there's nothing. Sometimes I got to do the talking. I'll just let Walter Clayton, I'll let Alex Condon, I'll let Thomas Hauk, I'll let Ruben Chinyelu, I'll let Walt Richard. I think it was Seth Greenberg said today. They call him Noah's Ark because we got two of everything. So this Gator team, it's deep. They're ready to
It's
go.
very well balanced. They've got defense. They've got
It
3-point
is,
shooting.
yeah.
Great guards.
There's
Great
this is
the guys up
definitely.
front.
I think a lot of people like to check in a week before and follow, and I think everyone has been just caught off guard about how good this Gator team and how good they looked last week. We really ran through that SEC tournament with no close games against really good competition like Alabama, Tennessee, and Missouri. And this team is real. I think my biggest worry is that I think we got a really a really tough region overall. Even starting
Yes.
with the toughest 16 seed, Norfolk State. My brother is on the staff here at GW, and he's been scouting different teams. They played Norfolk State before the season, and I remember him telling me like how well coached they were, how hard that team played on defense. That they had some size, they had some talent, but really what made them special was how together they played and how well they played as a unit. Even though I hope Florida doesn't have trouble discarding them. That's a team I've had fun following all year. Brian Moore. So even just starting with that, I think Florida got screwed with the toughest 16. Obviously, 8 seed, the toughest 8 seed would be Gonzaga. Maryland, I think, is one of the 10 best teams in the country right now. I think they're a team that in any other bracket, I'd have them in the Final Four without question. Texas Tech, I think, is a top 10 team in the country. That's like actually one of the sneaky teams I would have on the outer reaches of the national title conversation. I think of them that highly. And then St. John's, I don't think they have national title level team because their offense and shooting just I don't think can get there 6 straight games against good competition. But I don't care who you are, that's not a team you want to face over 40 minutes. They're going to make it hell. I don't know who's going to take them out. Right now, I have Texas Tech beating them in the Sweet 16, but that is not a team that's going to be fun to face, and that's going to be hell to beat. So I think it's going to be an incredible region. I think all the top 4 seeds. I feel strongest about making it to the Sweet 16. I think it's the likeliest to have a chalk first 2 rounds and have a 1-4 and 2-3 matchup. But if we get the 1-4, 2-3 matchup, I think that's going to be absolutely appointment television for both. I think Maryland matches up really well with Florida. I think what Florida overwhelms you, I think a lot of times with their front court in their offensive rebounding. I think Maryland with Reese and Derek Queen is one of the few front courts that could actually match up talent wise and give them problems that they're not used to. So that as a Florida fan, I'm really worried about that potential matchup.
How do you feel about Drake this year going up against Missouri? To me that just screams a little upset there. That Drake Missouri run. Drake has this guy. What's his name? Bennett. That's something with an S.
Yeah,
Bennett
yeah,
Sturts.
Stivers or
Some.
something like that.
So yeah, whatever.
Stivers or
Yeah,
Sternin. I forgot what it was. Yeah,
he's a great coach. I think he leads the nations in win shares with that at 8.6. He's a great player. I really
yeah.
like Drake this year. I think Missouri's like just prime for an upset there, sitting at 6. And then obviously Kansas, Arkansas. Kansas has not been super exciting this year. I absolutely can see Arkansas taking Kansas here out of the first round as a
Absolutely.
clean
That's a game I can see. I can see a
easily.
blowout either way. Like I think
Easily.
just both teams have had such odd seasons,
Yeah.
and you obviously have the overwhelming like personalities with Bill Self and John Calipari, and that's a big thing people bring up in this region with just the big time coaches that are in there.
Lot
But
of great
those
coaches, yeah.
Yeah, Rick Pitino, obviously. I think ultimately the coaches we're going to be talking about are going to be Kevin Willard, Todd Golden, and Grant McCaslin at Texas Tech, the ones that I don't think necessarily Rick Pitino, Bill Self, or John Calipari are going to end up being the story in this region. I think one thing interesting about Drake is that you look at them, they're famously brought a lot of D2 talent in, but they don't look the part. Definitely not going to win the airport test. You see that team,
Yeah.
you're not going to think that's a team that's going to make a run the NCAA tournament. But look, they beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's in this tournament. Vanderbilt's a team that survived in a tough ass SEC, and they beat them by double digits in the non-conference. This is a legit Drake team. I think they've lost once since January to Bradley, which is another really good team, tournament level competitions. Drake's absolutely legit. I'm not the biggest Mizzou fan. I think it's more the style and everything bothers, but ultimately, I do think Missouri's going to have too much for them. They just come in waves, a deep team that can really gang rebound and do really well on the offensive glass. And I don't think Drake will have the athletes to ultimately stay with them. But yeah, I think that's a perfectly reasonable team to ride to the Sweet 16 if you want to.
Sweet. All right. Same question. Give me your favorite bet in the region.
Ooh, I got to be more prepared for these. I
I'll
got
tell
to
you
check
mine.
these
I'll tell you
lines
mine.
all
You
day long.
think? Tell me how crazy I am. I'm going to do Colorado State money line at -125. I think they're going to beat Memphis.
I have Colorado State just covering the spread. I think Memphis without Tyrese Hunter, Colorado State already might be better than even Memphis at full strength. I think Hunter is really important to that team. Obviously, Haggerty went off in this past tournament. I think he had 44 in one of the games.
Mm-hmm.
That if that'll obviously change everything. But Colorado is one of the best coach teams. I think they're ready to win a game in the tournament and do something special. And I think this is probably their coach's last year. I think it's Nico Medved. Yeah, Nico
Mm-hmm.
Medved. He'll probably end up at Iowa or Minnesota after this tournament. So I think it would be really cool to see him. He's someone that's had so much success. Colorado State stuck around for a bit. I think it would be really cool to see him win some games and make that run.
Before you say your favorite bet, what's the guy? What's the player from Texas Tech? He played in New Mexico. He was a Big 12 player. Man, he's good too. I was just looking at that, and I remember that I watched a game with Texas Tech this year, and he was so good, man.
Is the
Trying to
JT
remember his
Toppin?
name. JT Toppin.
I just don't know JT. Yeah, he was at New Mexico. I wasn't sure if he was from New Mexico. Yeah, he's an
JT
All American.
Toppin.
He's probably a second team All American
He's
this
so
year.
good.
That's why I think Texas Tech has just a kind of a mix of a lot of what I like when I'm trying to pick like a national champion or a Final Four team. They're ranked really well in all the predictive metrics, which I don't think is an
Yeah.
end all be all, but I think it's a great starting point when you're trying to look at teams. They got a high level talent in JT Toppin. They've got a coach I really respect in Grant McCaslin. And then they're just a really balanced team. I think they have a lot of guys that could play well. I like Darian Williams. I like Elijah Hawkins. They do. The only negative I would have is that they have a lot of players that and I think Duke actually has some of this too, where they in almost all their lineups, they're going to have one or two players that are just not a threat on offense. And I
Okay.
think that'll be interesting to see against their top teams. But ultimately, if JT Toppin's cooking and you're playing against these man defenses that can't do much, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. But the thing with JT Toppin is he is one of the highest usage players, especially on these top teams, which means he uses up more possessions than the other players on the court. So you're talking about
Okay.
over 30% of their possessions, almost a third. Not quite James Harden numbers away in the NBA, but almost a third of their possessions end with a JT Toppin shot or turnover. So they put a lot on his shoulders. So he's another one that could be a household name by the end of this tournament. But they just have a lot of ingredients of a team that's not here just to make a run, but to like really win it on. I think because they're Texas Tech, I don't think people think of them in that light, but this is a legit team.
Dude, it's crazy. Like this year, it's almost like we're talking about football teams, right? Like the way we're talking about these teams, like the UNCs, the Kansas, it sounds like we're talking freaking football. Alabama, Auburn. It's so Florida, right? All right, so you haven't given me your favorite bet. What is it?
I'll ride the Maryland train. Give me Maryland -10
Choo-choo.
against Grand
Maryland,
Canyon.
baby, all day. Taking down Grand Canyon.
I
All right,
think
let's jump.
they've been losing close games, but blowing out everyone else. So
Let's jump over to the big dicks of the tournament this year. Let's talk the East of the Eastern region, and we gotta talk about Duke, man. Duke's obviously star-studded team. They've got all Americans all over the place. Cooper Flag's coming back. They've got this guy. What's his name? Malak. Help me out. How do we say
Malak.
this guy's name?
Yeah, I
That
don't know
guy.
exactly his name, but yeah, Malak. I
Malak.
saw them in person a couple of weeks ago in Miami, and that guy is huge.
He's so big, dude, and he's a freshman. Like this guy is massive. This guy's going
Yeah.
NBA draft lottery, absolutely 7'2", absolutely beast. We know Flag isn't 100% healthy right now, so I'm expecting we're going to see a lot more from this guy. But Duke is very well coached, very well prepared for this. They've been so hot, like at the end of the season. They look like they are on a run to win this tournament here. They're going to run into a few teams here. They have a nice they have a tough region. I'm not saying it's super easy, but it is one of the easier ones. I would say they have the easiest route to the finals. I expect them to be in the Final Four this year. Anything else that you like in this region? Anything we should be checking out on?
Yeah, so just I think Duke is the story of the region, like you said. I think if all the one seeds were given truth serum and asked pick one path, I think all of them are picking Duke's
Yeah.
side of the bracket. Mostly just because the really good. I think there's a lot of really good teams in the bracket. I think Alabama, St. Mary's, BYU, VCU, and Wisconsin are all threats to make the Final Four. Like I think all of them have that potential, but they're all in the bottom half of the bracket. So
They're
Duke
all
only
going to
has to
kill
play
each
one of
other.
them in the Elite
Exactly.
Eight.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I can almost guarantee you Duke makes the Elite Eight. They're gonna have a really tough game. We're talking about like I only really project one really tough game. I do think Oregon and Arizona are sneaky in that they have the talent to do it if they play a great game, especially offensively. And Arizona's like, I think we think of them under Tommy Lloyd as a team that always disappoints in the tournament. That's like their
Mhm.
MO. But I do think this is a different Arizona team and that they're playing a lot better. They had a good Big 12 tournament. They had a good run down the season. They beat Texas Tech. They played Houston pretty tough. And this is not an Arizona team that's wilting to the finish line like other ones. This is a team that's a little more primed to make a run. So I wouldn't just go off typical Tommy Lloyd kind of old Gonzaga reputation. I think this Arizona team's peaking more than usual. And I think Oregon is another team that's played pretty well down the stretch, stumbled a little bit at the end, but that's a talented team that I think can also be a potential stumbling block. Ultimately, I think Duke has too much for them. To me, the big question with Duke is you saw them they've been putting biblical smackdowns on these ACC teams down the stretch. I think the question mark is obviously Cooper Flag. Is he fully healthy? If he's not, or even playing and he's just hurting them because he's so banged up, Mississippi State's good enough to give them a run if that's the case. But even without Cooper Flag, they looked really good. Con is just a star. I think the big question is Tyrese Proctor and those guards like Isaiah Evans off the bench is as good as they looked offensively, those players in the ACC, does that translate when they play the best teams in the country, which they're ultimately going to have to do to win the national title? Because Duke, on paper, they look just another level when it comes to like their offensive efficiency and just what they've been doing to these mediocre teams.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Duke is incredible. We hyped up a lot in our preview of the bracket. We hyped up a lot VCU. We didn't know where they were going to land in this bracket. Seeing BYU in that first game, we talked about it earlier when we first started the podcast. BYU is a really tough draw for them. That's a great game. That we said it was a top 20 KenPom rating game, right? Both teams are in the top 20 there.
They're both top 20 in the last 6 weeks, if you look
In
at
the
the
last
last
6
six
weeks.
weeks ratings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so these teams are coming in hot. They're coming and playing. I would love to see VCU win this game. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it is going to be very hard for them to win it. But if VCU wins, I do see them easily in the Sweet 16 after that because I think they could beat Wisconsin or Montana. Granted, Wisconsin has this player that is ridiculous. But
I'm Jay.
yeah, speaking of
Yeah.
Mississippi State, I like Mississippi State a lot here. I think they're going to beat Baylor. That's actually going to be my favorite bet of this region. I do like Mississippi
I like
State
that.
winning here. I don't know if they have enough to beat a healthy Duke. If Cooper's in there playing at full swing, I don't think they have enough. But it would be super interesting to see that game. Duke, Mississippi in the round. That's what I'm saying. Round 32, we're all getting an incredible game. Mississippi versus Duke.
Round 64, VCU BYU is like an incredible game.
Yeah, that's
I could have
incredible.
seen if things were seeded differently, I could have seen that being an Elite Eight game. That's how good
Yeah.
I think both teams are for real.
And
Like I
then
think it's
Arizona.
just
So you talked about Arizona, but I like Akron a lot, man. I like Akron a lot. I like them here. I like this. I have this as an almost upset here, as Akron could beat Arizona. I think Arizona is beatable. We've seen it this season. They look like they could be beatable. Akron's a really good team, really good scoring, really good defense. It's one of my favorite matchups this year. And what about St. Mary's? How do you feel about St. Mary's in this bracket?
I'm a fan. I think with St. Mary's is it's an easy team to fade. We know St. Mary's
Right.
usually doesn't make big runs. They famously under deliver in the tournament. But I think this is a classic team that has a really high level that they could play at. So I think you want to think of it as a high variance team. If you're doing multiple
Okay.
brackets, you might have one where they lose in the first round, another one they make the Elite Eight because they're a team that's really good offensively and can be really good. They're an awkward team to play with their slow pace, two bigs. Randy Bennett's a great coach. So I think it's just a team that I don't think you can have really a wrong opinion on. I could definitely, I think you can squint and see a team that's ready to make a tournament run. You can squint and see a team that's just not up for it as a 7 seed.
Yeah, and also they're going to run into Alabama next round, pretty much if they win. Alabama, to me, they were my favorites coming into the season. Like early season, they were my early prediction to win the whole thing. I think Alabama's still a very good team. playing a little bit lesser quality. We saw what they did in the SEC tournament, but still a very good team, very well coached. They've got all the talent in the world. Don't be surprised if you see them take down Duke for that Final Four spot. I like Alabama a lot here. All right, talk to me. What's your favorite bet of the region?
My favorite bet, I hate picking an under, but I love the under in
Ew, in
Clemson
the
McNeese.
tournament? Okay,
Clemson McNeese under 134.
great.
Both
We
teams
you
are
know,
two of the.
but Clemson McNeese is in the Midwest.
Am I in the wrong thing? Oh, damn
You
it.
are. It's okay.
I
You
keep
you
losing
you
these
popped your
freaking
cherry.
things.
It's all right. Now we'll asterisk that. We'll take that down to your Midwest one. But I'm talking about East now. We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, this Oregon Liberty down here. I also like the under in that one, but that's not my favorite. By the way, that Clemson McNeese is probably my favorite bet of the first weekend.
Of
They're
the
two of the
tournament.
slowest
That's
teams.
a great tournament. But yeah, that's a great bet.
I'm looking at VCU +3.
Ooh, so you're saying it's a tight game, but are you giving BYU the win, or are you just saying VCU covers?
All right, no, you know what? I'll go Vandy +4.
Vandy +4 is a great bet. Great bet. I
Yeah,
like that one a lot
Van.
against
I
St.
think that's gonna
Mary's.
be a very. I think it's gonna be a very close
I
game.
think it's gonna be a very close game. I got that as like a 2.5, one
Yeah,
and a half. I'm gonna stick with my guns. I'm gonna say Mississippi State is money line straight up on this one. I like this one a lot.
I like
I
that. I
think
like that. I like that bet a lot. Last year, Mississippi State. I don't remember. We were all over them, and they
all
killed
over
us.
them.
They lost
They
by
killed us.
20 points
They
in the
killed us.
first round
I
game.
do remember.
Oh,
I
but you
do
know what?
remember.
Josh Hubbard. I still love that. I love Chris Jans. I still like that team.
Yeah, great. All right, let's jump into the Midwest, the final region of the tournament. We already know what your favorite bet here is, so let's just get into it. Houston, we're super high on them. You like Houston a lot. I know that. I like Houston a lot. I think they're a very good team. They've got everything you want to see when you have a player. Easiest path to the Final Four in my eyes. I think they have one of the easiest paths. SIUE is like a garbage team. They're going to destroy them. I find them like going to dominate here. When it comes to the region, Gonzaga, Georgia is a fantastic first round. That's a fantastic 8-9. Gonzaga, very undervalued here. I think the committee really messed up on Gonzaga here. I think they're a way higher seed. They should have been to me, I have them as like a 6, a 5 even. I like them a lot. That's my favorite bet here at -6. I think it's a public favorite, but I think Georgia, if they attack the paint, they might put up some numbers against them. What's the deal with Gonzaga? Why does Gonzaga is getting so much hate this season? Do you know? Did they explain why they're
Like that, as far as the seeds, if you look at it, they lost close games and then they kill everyone else. So you're left with a team that doesn't have the best resume. When you look at the quads and like their strength of schedule and things like that. But when it comes to like, predictive metrics, who care more about how you play and who you played and how you beat them, they're just killing teams. They
they're
were
destroying
freaking
them? They score. They put
just
points up, dude.
destroying. Yeah, they're so good. So that's the thing where I disagree with you on the Houston run is that the most important thing in your path are the teams you play early because you can almost guarantee you're going to play them, and the fact that they're likely to play Gonzaga, who's a top 10 team in Ken Palm, who's just a juggernaut offensively, the assist leader in the country in Ryan Nemhard. And then you have one of the best big men in Graham Ike. And again, they're an awkward team. They don't play normal basketball. They have two bigs. They play really well offensively. They really move the ball. Well, I think Houston's better. Houston's my national title pick. I just think they're the best
They're
team in the
great.
country right now.
Yeah.
I'll go into Houston in a second, but I just think it's so unfair. This is the problem when you don't take into account these predictive metrics is you end up with the Houston team that's earned a 1 seed and earned the right to play a 1 seed's path. And now in the first weekend, they're likely going to have to play one of the other 10 best teams in the country. So I think that's where, and I don't think Gonzaga is actually one of the 10 best teams. They're probably closer to 12 to 15, let's say. But you're still
Mhm.
playing, you should be playing an 8 or 9 seed that's the 30th best team in the country, not one of these top 15 teams in the first weekend as a 1 seed. So I think that's unfortunate. Ultimately, Houston, I think, is different. I think we think of Houston as this team that is shoving Mac and a bunch of offensive. Not shoving Mac. That's is this? No, that's the guy from Butler. God, what's this guy's name? The guy that was there for years. It was great. I can't remember, but we think of them as one small guard, gritty guard, and a bunch of great offensive rebounders and things like this team is a lot more than that. This is the number one 3-point shooting team that's in this tournament at 39.8% from three. LJ Crier's a star. Sharp can't miss right now. This is a top 10 offense in the country. And I don't think we think of Houston like that. So you're combining one of the 2 or 3 best defenses in the country with a top 10 offense, with legitimate shooting, legitimate stars, one of the best coaches in America in Kelvin Sampson. And I
Mhm.
think I'm getting vibes of 2016 Villanova, where we dismiss them a little bit because we're not used to them being in that national title mix come tournament time. But we'll look back and be like, wow, this team has been legit, and it's been legit all year.
Yeah, Houston's one of these great teams. Again, I think they've been absolutely great all season long. Talk about a dominant performance. This is going to be a great. This is a great little region just to see how good
Oh,
Houston
it's
is.
Jamal Shed. Jamal Shed is who I was thinking
Jamal
of.
Shed.
I completely forgot Jamal Shed. That guy was just a chucker. It's so good. So fun to watch.
I think once they get past the round 32, whoever it is, Gonzaga or Georgia, it's smooth. It's smooth sailing. They have Clemson, McNeese there, Purdue, High Point, which Purdue's one of those teams in the tournament that just chokes all over the place. We talked about
Any
them.
of those four teams can make the Sweet 16. I think that's the
Yeah,
most even quadrant of that little
yeah.
pod
Clemson,
where they all
McNeese,
play
Purdue, or
together.
High Point. Any of those guys could
I
make a
mean,
run through it easily.
flip a
Uh,
couple coins and pick one of them to the Sweet 16.
then you have Illinois, Texas Xavier. Where are we at with that game? What happened? Did they finish?
That's tomorrow. That's
Oh, it's
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Oh, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
North Carolina, San Diego State's right now.
Oh, okay, okay. How are we doing with the over? We're
I don't
talking
think
live
it's
right now.
looking great.
It's not looking great. We're not gonna. All right. We don't know anything we're talking about.
71 to 39. So
Jeez.
basically, if we hit this over, it's North Carolina hitting it by themselves. It's 110. We need
Jeez.
33 points in these last 10 minutes. I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Illinois, great team, fun to
I
watch.
am very high on them. I think they're a team that all year I've been wanting them to figure it out. They're so talented. They got an
Yeah.
All-American level player, top 10 pick in Valanciunas, or however you say his first name. They've got just talent everywhere. Like that's a team you watch, and I don't understand how they're not better because they just got so much talent all over the floor. So
Will
I
Riley's
love
also a
them.
beast, dude.
Will
6'8"
Riley's been
freshman.
balling lately. Yeah,
He's
and he looks the part. You watch him, and he
yeah.
just looks different than other people on the court.
Yeah, super efficient, great player, fun to watch. I think Illinois is one of those teams I could absolutely see him in the Sweet 16 round 8. Kentucky's out there. Kentucky not playing great, full of injuries. That's
Hurt,
a
yeah.
team. That's a team that I see Illinois taking down in the next round. I don't think Troy has it to beat them, but maybe on the next one, I definitely could see that. Utah State, great team, a fun team to watch down there on the bottom. And Tennessee, one of those teams that they choke in the tournament, but hey, maybe they make a run and see. I don't think Wolford has a prayer. We already said our favorite bets on this one. We know you like the under on the Clemson McNeese. I like Gonzaga here, and I think we did it, man. I think we did a nice little run on the entire regions. I don't think we missed anybody either. I think we talked about all the big dogs, all the big names, all the upsets that you should be watching. Make sure you guys fill out your brackets. Any big games that we should be looking at. If we could only watch 2 games, what are we watching this week?
BYU VCU to me is
Is
my
a
favorite
must
first round
watch.
game.
It's a must
To
watch.
me, it's a must watch. Max Shulgo, Joe Bamisile, just you got to watch that VCU team, and then BYU is just
Yeah,
really good. And I'll go Michigan, UC San Diego. I think that's just a fascinating matchup where
that's a great 5-12
two good
matchup. That's a
teams.
great upset one.
Yeah,
That's a great one to watch. Absolutely.
and I think it's an even matchup. I think they're just two good teams.
I think Missouri
There's
Drake
other
is going to
games
be a
that
lot
have
of fun too.
yeah, there's a lot of close spreads, but those are teams I find really interesting. Like Missouri Drake, I don't really want to watch Missouri more. I don't care. Illinois Texas or Xavier would be a good game. And then Clemson McNeese, hopefully we don't have to watch. We just cash that over and keep it moving.
Just keep it
Watch
going.
in the
Just
next round.
all the way through. I like it, man. I'm super
Yeah.
excited
And
for
then
this tournament. Thursday is just like the best time. Again, we say how like even if you're just a casual basketball fan, college tournament, the national championship, this is like the best time for college basketball, for any basketball.
yeah, and
Probably
then
better than the finals, the NBA final, like playoffs. Like this is an incredible time, and it's so much fun when you see these players playing, and then you'll see them next year, most likely in the NBA. These big guys that we've been playing or we've been talking about, maybe one more year, especially these freshmen we've been talking, maybe one more year in college basketball, and then we'll probably see them in the NBA. It's so much fun to watch these guys super young. We talked about it, how these are the stories where you get the Norris Coles, the Dwayne Wades, these guys that make their name for themselves in college and then jump in the NBA and do something beautiful. What's this guy from Florida who's a beast, the center, then went off to play in Chicago?
you gotta be a lot more specific.
Oh, come on, dude.
You've had a lot of
Exactly.
beasts.
Joaquin Noah.
You talking about Udonis Haslam? Andrew DeClerc? Who are you talking about?
Declick,
Which
declick.
Final Four team?
God.
Patrick Young?
You know, fucking no. This is who I was talking about. You know exactly who I was talking about.
I do gotta give you one quick prediction.
Go ahead.
In the Crown Championship, I got GW taking down Boise State, then taking down Butler, and then taking down Washington State to reach that championship game. And I got them playing in the other side Final Four. I got Villanova versus Cincinnati. I'll get Cincinnati going ahead, and then GW taking it all, dribbling Georges, baby.
We're in the crown, baby. We're
I
in the
got
crown.
GW,
G-Dub,
just
we're in the
taking
crown.
Vegas by
King
storm,
George. King
King
George.
George, yeah, King George.
I love
He's
that prediction.
back for a third term.
Carlos, I think what we should do for our listeners is we'll make a bracket of our predictions for the rest of the rounds, because I think we won't be back until probably round 16. We won't be back until round 16. So we'll do a full bracket prediction, and then we'll update it as the rounds go by. Obviously, we're going to get some wrong because I'm pretty good, but I don't think I'm 32 games in a row straight. You know what I mean?
We got a lot of betting to do this weekend. I don't know how we're going to do
this
it.
is the most.
but
This is the listen. If you are a sports bettor, this is your Super Bowl. Forget the.
This is
your
our moment.
Super
This is
Bowl.
our moment.
This is our moment. You strap in, you wear the seatbelt, you make sure your bankroll's nice and tight. Make sure you close out all your bets. You don't want anything open until
It's not even just sports bettors. It's just Americans. If you're an American, this is your week. You know,
That's true. You
if
got
you got to
office
download
pools.
the app,
You got office pools. You got brackets everywhere. Do you feel
if any work is getting done on Thursday or Friday, that's straight up un-American.
You're right.
That's just
you hate
un-American.
America.
Like,
you hate
show
America.
respect. Show
you
respect.
hate America, and we all know that if you hate America now, you might get kicked out. Listen, make sure you guys fill out your brackets. Make sure you guys do all the stuff. Guys, check us out on all of our socials. You know them. I'm not going to say them. Firststep.com, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. Make sure you guys check out our merch for the Masters. I'm super pumped for the Masters this year. We were so wrong about the players. I have to give Chucky Hoops all the props for the players. You were hyping up on Rory. I'm going to give that to you because God bless you. Deserve it. Good job. Cough claps, cough claps.
On St. Patrick's Day.
On St. Patrick's Day. That was so rude. It was my birthday. He's Irish.
Oh, that's right.
I'll let him win it. It's okay. But make sure you guys check it out. The Masters merch is super cool. You could get the Straight Out of Eamon's Corner shirt. You could get all the Masters winners. You could get the Hello Friends t-shirt, which is one of my favorites. I'm super excited. What else do I have to say? I have nothing else to say. Guys, thank you so much. Chucky Hoops, you're the man. This is your time. Enjoy the wedding. I'm sorry you get to miss Thursday and Friday, but we'll be back for round 16 of college basketball. Enjoy, guys. Have a good one. Good night.
Go Gators.